Almost live, we can see the wheel of death. Everybody, welcome. Here we are, day 3, Coffin Comic Con Online. I'm here with the dudes, Mr. Marat, Mychaels, the homage king and co-writer of everything Coffin Comics, the one and only Mad Mike McLean.
Hey, everybody.
Want to welcome everybody. Here we are, Saturday afternoon. This channel, Coffin Comics TV, is only one of the several channels we're presenting simultaneously right now. We're actually online, I think, at your Facebook page with Clan McDonald's Comics.
Right, Clan McDonald.
Right now, Mike DeValfo is live selling. We have Julian the Hooligan on the Brian Pulido Facebook page doing onesies and warehouse finds. And that's not all. Check our schedule online. We have content going all the way till 7 p.m. tonight, including a grand prize for our raffle for both our club and everyone who places an order today at 6:30. But without further ado, I would like to introduce the Master of Ceremonies for this panel, and if you could also introduce the panel, Mr. Mike McLean.
Hey, everybody. So the panel today is how to market and promote comics. A question that I have, and I'm very interested in because I don't know as much about it as these guys. So that's the panel today, and I'd like to say before we start, if anybody has questions, any of the online folks have questions, please just type them in the comments. We'll probably get to them a little bit later, but if you have questions, just type them right in. So, as Brian has already introduced everybody, I'm just going to jump in with my first question is, you both have had successful Kickstarter runs and campaigns. What's one big lesson you've learned about promoting comics since your very first campaign?
Probably don't overpromise and underdeliver is the biggest one. Give yourself plenty of time to deliver the books. You know, don't think you're going to need 3 weeks to do it. Like if you know you're going to need at least a month and a half. And definitely expect things to go wrong. People, you know, printing goes bad sometimes. You don't get the products you order for your stretch goals and you know amount of time they're promised in. So make sure to leave yourself a window to deliver. You know, and not have people waiting for months and months and months is probably the number one thing I personally have learned.
Speaks to a great point, which is good quality customer service. Sort of be your promise.
Yeah.
If you can't be your promise, be transparent about it, be upfront about it, and re-promise.
Yeah.
But like you said, I love that you said, behind the scenes, nothing ever goes as planned.
Nothing.
So you should plan for that. So generally we do. Yeah, we plan probably an extra 3 to 4 week float for delivery just for the unknown, because it happens every time.
Yep.
So
let me back up a minute. I apologize too. It's like, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to give Marat a bit of an introduction. So Marat, how many Kickstarter? So this is Marat Mychaels, owner of Counterpoint Comics, and he has done a multitude of Kickstarters, and that's why I wanted to have him here. How many kicks have you done?
10. Just finished up our 10th one about a week ago.
Boom, so 10. And then myself, we are in the last 7 days of our 19th Kickstarter. And look, I'm going to be kind of braggy here. Don't hate me for it. But it's the #1 most funded comic book Kickstarter at over $330,000 raised so far and counting. So I'd like to think that both of us have learned some lessons along the way. So figured I'd get that out of the way.
Sure, thank you for that. So, you know, you set that up just right. With it seems like Kickstarter campaigns have been popping up all over the place for different comics. Lots of people are jumping in the game now. How do you make sure that your product pops in that heavy marketplace? How do you make sure that you are seen with all this competition jumping out?
For me personally, I think it's like I said, first you have a history of delivering on time and quality product, and then just know your base. You know, I see a lot of guys like they're trying to shove, you know, squares into circle holes and just giving the fans what they don't want. So it's like, if you know what your fans want, what your fan base wants, give them that. Don't try to be overly creative or avant-garde. Just, your fan wants this from you, give them what they want. That's my personal opinion.
Well, that question you've asked is the fundamental question I ask myself on every campaign. You know, what is it? What can we do? What can we provide that could be unique? But and so in a sense, you've actually asked for the secret sauce. So I think part of your journey is finding out what that secret sauce is for you. But as a base layer of crowdfunding campaigns, what I think you gotta be is, you gotta be your word. I think it's critical that when you begin your campaign, most of the creative work is done. Now, the reason why I say that is it'll allow you to get some momentum. So let's run a scenario. Scenario A, I begin a Kickstarter campaign, a crowdfunding campaign, and what I'm telling people is my creative is done, and that within 8 weeks at the end of my campaign, I'm going to get that item in your hands. And it is my intention to repeat that. And if I pull that off, I believe, from a customer service point of view, that creates goodwill. And that's something that we count on. So, and if I could repeat that, perhaps I can build on that goodwill. Coffin Comics is on its 19th campaign. Every single one of them has been on time, with the exception of one. And the one we've been completely transparent about. Different topic, but we got to a printer. We had a sex scene. The printer would not print it unless we changed it. But we could not be Coffin Comics if we changed it. So we made the choice of printing elsewhere, but it set us back about 6 weeks, actually. However, I digress. So I would like to assert that over the course of 19 campaigns, we have amassed a certain amount of goodwill. We're transparent. If you have a customer service question, we'll be honest. We'll hear what you have to say. Here's plan B. I'm a creator. I'm going to offer up a kick, and I'm telling you vaguely, you may get it in 9 months, a year. I don't know. I haven't done any research. I don't have my printers lined up. I don't have my creative done. And maybe you'll get it out in 13 months. You got to ask yourself, does that actually create momentum? And I assert it doesn't. Recently, we went to Kickstarter and we went inside some of the scroll down bars and we looked at this. We looked at the most funded comic book Kickstarters, the category comic book. It's a subcategory of comics. And who did I see? Coffin Comics, I'm happy to announce, but I saw Counterpoint Comics. I saw Still Ill Princess. And these are all companies, shout out to Jamie Tyndall's company. Those are companies that generally take getting stuff out on time deadly seriously. And I believe that you see the reward. The reward is more people have faith that you will do what you say.
Yep.
Is that, you think that's a trend that's going on more and more, that people have the creative work in the can before offering the product, or do you still see people saying, oh, we're 2/3 done with the script? What's your experience?
Personally, I see a lot of, we're 2/3 done, we need your money to finish this up. And I guess that works to some extent still, but me personally, I'm with you. I think get it done, or be so close to the finish line by the time your campaign's done, your book's done. And that just, again, you deliver on time. Kickstarter, for that and Jamie, Kickstarter's almost become instead of a crowdfunding, almost like you're selling directly to the fan.
Yeah, it's like
in some ways.
I view that way too. It's like it's a tool. We know people's version 1 perception of Kickstarter is it's about crowdfunding, and it is. But what it really is it opens you up to a much wider community.
Oh, yeah.
Much wider.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have it in droves compared to me, but we have a lot of guys from Germany and Sweden and Finland and Australia and stuff, and there's no way for me to get out to these people, get my books out to them any other way. So it's a sales platform as much as it is a funding platform. Yep,
and so if you're like a good manufacturer, you manufacture material on time, get it in people's hands, and at some level too, like we are from a tradition of periodicals that come out with some degree of frequency. Yep. So part of the expectation is, be on time, be kind of consistent.
And you mentioned momentum earlier. Even you both have a record of getting your product to the audience on time and meeting your promises. Even in that case, people are waiting some weeks for their books. How in an industry where they have to wait for a while to get that story that you've already pumped them up and got excited about, how do you keep momentum even though people have to wait? How do you keep the momentum of your creative outputs?
I mean, a simple tool that Kickstarter has is updates. So we try to make everything that we do experiential. So what I mean by that is We let people know when we're going to press. Sometimes we'll do live videos of being at the printer. When things come in, we post pictures because we want to show that we are being accountable to our stakeholders, let's say. And I actually find that stuff very fun because to this day, whenever we get stuff in, I get excited by it. Like I even had to go get something copied at Office Max, or I had it copied and then I had to go and get it laminated. I'm still like a kid in a candy store. It's like I want to see how this thing looks like when it's laminated. Yeah. So if I could take my enthusiasm for that kind of stuff and give it to the next person, I kind of hope that maintains our momentum, or at least the idea that we're in communication.
Repeat the question.
So how do you, when an audience, you had an audience there waiting for your product, they're waiting for your books. How do you keep the momentum, even though they have to wait some weeks to get your product? How do you keep?
I mean, definitely what Brian said with the updates, but also social media, interacting, and I think Kickstarter people are now pretty trained and understand they're going to have to wait X amount, so they don't have the expectation of their Marvel or DC book, like it just came out, so I'm waiting 30 days for my next one. I think they know it's going to take some months before I see the next campaign. And I think they're genuinely excited when the books show up at their door and they open them up and they're beautiful books, packed well and shipped well and on time. And I think they just know now these are more like quarterlies than monthlies, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I got in the game, speaking about frequency, I knew I had actually done a series of interviews with the top comics retailers, honestly, and they gave me certain pieces of advice. So, for example, they said, when you get back in the game, you should be monthly. And I said, but let me ask you a question. No matter what, my number 2 is going to drop 60% in sales. And they're like, yeah, but just do it monthly. And I'm like, okay, why would I do that? So I actually decided to abandon that way or that frequency. And what I did is I made this calculation. I looked at myself, a middle-aged guy, and said, I think I have a constant reader. And I looked into other forms. So I looked at Stephen King's career. Mine, of course, a pale shadow of his, but I looked at it and said, you know what? For 30 plus years, people are willing to go and check back in to see if Stephen King has put out something, whether it's once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to change the game. We're going to put things out in a little meatier format, 48 page instead of 24, and it's going to be now on a quarterly basis. And I'm going to count on that my readers a little older, settled in their career and in their life, and they'll be willing to take this ride along with myself and my team. So that was kind of my thinking.
That's a really good assessment.
Yeah.
So you've both mentioned having your base audience. You've both been in the industry for years and are
all right, Mark, don't rub it in.
Just because I'm a newbie.
World.
Right.
Just because I'm a newbie here. But you have,
kid on the block.
Yeah. You have an audience. You've built an audience out of your years of integrity. What about reaching new people? What about reaching a new audience? How do you do that when especially in this marketplace that's somewhat crowded?
I bow to the master. I just see what Brian does.
Now,
stealing.
Mike, right.
Promotional tricks here. Watching people who are successful.
Well, Mike, again, he's tapping into secret sauce territory. But what I will say is we love our existent reader base and collector base. And we are equally obsessed with attracting new readers and new customers. And we were willing to do everything legal to do that. And so if you look at our current campaign, as I deflect from the question, it's you'll notice that we have over 100 backers who have never backed a Kickstarter campaign before. But one concern that I would have as a business owner and a publisher, and it's a concern I think most people in the game should have, is that people come and go out of the hobby. Mm-hmm. It's a term I heard about that years ago. It was called churn. What that means is there's been observations that people are frequently into the comic book collecting or reading hobby. They come in and out in a 36-month cycle. Now, this doesn't apply to everybody. I would assert that in the case of our readers, the Sworn, the Fiends, that they stick with us. We're giving them something fresh. But frequently people come and go, and they come and go for different reasons. It's a kid graduates high school, no disposable income. Going to college, now I don't have any disposable income. Had disposable income, lost my job. Had disposable income, got a divorce. Now I'm going to Antarctica for 6 months. I mean, we literally had a guy who was one of our biggest customers in Germany, but his career as a cinematographer in commercials and music videos took off, and as much as he loved our stuff, he was off. So our obsession, besides taking care of our current customer and reader base, is new readers. And again, I'm being vague by design because it's part of our secret sauce, but I will tell you that we'll do anything that's legal to attract new people.
You be vague as well?
No, and I think we do it, both of us try to stay ahead of the trends and come up with a, new cover, new stock, new paper stock, crystal or foils or, acetate.
Your acetate overlay, man, big up to you. Yeah, big up, man, big up. Yeah, that was great. I love that one.
I've done
that. I did that in the 90s. Though.
Yeah, no, it wasn't new. It's just
rad. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's been a while, and nobody's done it in small, quantities.
Yeah.
And nobody's done it actually serial numbered and stuff. So it's again trying something. My thing is, people might not like the books I publish, but I'm gonna do something at some point that you're gonna go, damn it, I gotta buy one of your books. I didn't want to give you my money, but now you put something out that I have to have. And so that's what my approach is always: try new things, put things out there, and hope it attracts new reader, and hope a percentage of them sticks and goes, you know what? I like your books. I like the product you put out. I want to see the next thing you put out. So,
I mean, I would agree to that. One thing that I'm personally obsessed with is I like to be like a shark. I don't like anything to be stale. Always moving, changing things, changing presentation. Like you're saying, it's the obsession with the new thing.
Yep.
What can we do that's new, that's fresh, that's exciting? And
that's why I'll be watching Wednesday to see.
It's pretty dope, dude. It's pretty dope.
So you've both mentioned a big pitfall of Kickstarter promotion, at least in promoting your comics, is that not following through with your promises, not getting it in time. Can you think of any other pitfalls that people make, not just necessarily with Kickstarter, but in any way in marketing and promoting your comic? What's a mistake that either you've made or you've seen other people make?
Go ahead. One of the biggest ones I see is people stop communicating.
Yeah.
So, I've backed like 85 campaigns, and I'm looking at how people behave, and it's strange when people drop out of like a project creator. They drop out of communication, or there's a customer service issue to deal with, and they take it personally, or they start a war, or they flame up. And, personally, every time that we as a company have messed up, I am really willing to take a look at what was our role in this and what can we do about it, as opposed to trying to defend a position. And then so it's that one, then the whole idea of just dropping out of communication. The idea that a campaign isn't a living, breathing thing that has its own life is it's baffling to me that people don't see it that way. Whereas some people are they'll launch a campaign, they stop communicating, or they mess up and they stop communicating. It's like, hey man, just be in communication.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, customer service is number one. I had somebody who, I did not feel we were at fault as a company at all for the situation, but just refunded the money. And, I want somebody always walking away happy. Whatever, even if it didn't work out, it's kind of like a relationship to me. When you walk away, both parties should be okay and not just hate each other coming out of it. So to me, it's like, even if things aren't as smooth with one particular customer, you just take care of it best way you can. If you lose a few bucks, then you lose a few bucks. It's okay. Just make sure that person walks away, and they can't post anything on social media that goes, Marat didn't communicate with me. Don't support these guys' books, because they don't deliver what they promise. Worst thing they can walk away is, and say, well, didn't get what I wanted, but I got my money back. So if that's the worst they can post, that's okay. So to me, customer service is always number one, and that goes to communication, like you said, and making sure people are aware of what's going on. And if you are delayed, like you said, you tell people like, hey, it happens. 99.9% of people will go, that's okay, I love what you do. I'll wait a little longer to make sure I get the quality I expect from you. So,
and I agree. Speaking to these old school standard business principles have really served my career. I think they've served yours. So it's simple stuff, like you're saying, customer service. And that's what I see sometimes project creators do, is they personalize things.
Yeah.
And for me, it's all in the domain of customer service. And of course, our company is obsessed with it. So, so as opposed to personalizing all this stuff, just kind of take a look at it broadly as a topic related to customer service. And like you said, there are those rare occasions where yourself and a customer may not see eye to eye, and you could agree to kind of part, but you could part as friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned people, speaking out against your company online. Do you think that has a significant effect on your business? If someone, it walks away unhappy and talks about your company, like, I know it's hard to that's almost impossible to measure, but
I don't know if it does, but I don't want it out there. If there's one person doing it, it's one person too many, and that goes to a kind of old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
I don't get into battles with people.
Yep. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, if people want to talk smack about my product, I just go ahead. I'm not going to interact with you. You can have your 15 minutes of fame on somebody else's, page, on somebody else's guide. I just don't want any of that out there. I don't flame things, and if it's one person, it's one too many, in my opinion. So
I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see and I can imagine people sometimes make controversial topics as part of their brand or their presence in various domains. Coffin Comics is not about that. Like, we're really about trying to have a fun, good time, and we're willing, if we do things wrong, we're willing to make things right. I mean, if you don't like our stuff, I would cordially invite you not to deal with it.
Amen.
I would just say, walk on some. It ain't for you. That's all right. But a certain amount of people like it, and the other thing is, Coffin Comics, we've got no apologies about our content. We like it. It's either for you or it's not for you. Yeah, that's the whole story.
So, Brian, I've heard you many times call yourself a shameless shill.
I'm a shameless shill.
Shameless shill. Yet, you have this really phenomenal relationship with your fans.
Yeah.
People have seen it. How do you so aggressively promote your product without turning off audiences? Because I've seen other people try to do it, and it really feels... It doesn't feel sincere. How do you promote your comics in that aggressive way without turning people off?
Well, I'm not really sure. I mean, if I was to take a guess, maybe you observe me and you'd know better, but I'm just trying to always come from a real place. Like, I'm a huge fan of Howard Stern. I've listened to Howard Stern since I used to live in New York. And what people adore about Howard is, for him, he's always telling his truth at all times. Even if you like it, you don't like it. All kinds of people listen to Stern, but they're interested in his truth. So I take that as my walking papers, and all I can present is my truth. And one thing I really realized in my comic book career really long ago is, I don't have any daddy. I don't have anyone who's taking care of me. So I kind of realized that, I got to take care of me and mine, meaning the Coffin crew, our extended family, the Sworn, the Fiends. I got to keep an eye on things. So if I don't ask for the sale, I'm not in business. Because again, I don't have a daddy. I don't have a Marvel or DC publishing my stuff. So someone's got to be the shill. And hopefully I'm coming from an authentic place. I'd also like to, at this moment, I'll thank people because I know that I am hyper productive. If people, just like you, only until recently did I get a person helping me in editorial. So everything you've ever seen from Coffin Comics, from the managerial perspective, whether it's commissioning the artist, working on the contracts, working with the artist, going to the press, going to the printer, I've done it all personally. And I know that I still keep cranking it out. Happily just got some help with Nick G moving over from customer service. But I guess perhaps because I'm coming possibly from an authentic place. I don't know. Do you have an opinion?
No, I think that's one thing. And also, when people log in to watch you, they know you're there to sell product. And so I think there's a fine line. I'm always conscious of it. I think it's the way you make people feel about supporting you and buying your product. There's a difference between, I have this, I would love to sell it to you. If you're interested, here it is. If you're not, thank you for watching. Or this feeling that some people give fans, let me basically reach into your wallet and take your money. And I don't think both you and I don't do that.
No.
Where it's not desperate, it's we have this product, we want to sell it to you. If you're interested, here it is. We'll deliver it best way we can. If you're not, thank you anyway.
Yep.
And we're not going oh, you didn't buy my stuff, so just keep moving.
Right.
And I see that from a lot of creators, especially at conventions, where they're come here, come here, come here. We don't ever tell people, come here, come here, come here. We tell people where we're going to be and what we're going to have, And if they want it, they're going to come, and then we're going to sell it to you to the best of our ability. But we're not going to
We usually have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. We're not going to grab you by the arm and drag you over to our table to sell you something and try to convince you to buy it. And I think that's one of the reasons why what you do works, and why on a much smaller level what I do works, and because we have a genuine connection with our fans.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I just heard you say we have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
That seems to be a pretty big ingredient in that sauce, that fun attracts people.
Yeah.
So I think that's when you see Brian's booth, it attracts people. I've heard people say this is the best booth at the con, or this or that, who may not know anything about Coffin or Lady Death.
I mean, it's my mission and statement in life. I mean, I kind of realized early on, I'm not going to cure, the great diseases. I'm not going to bring peace to the world. But what I kind of realized, what I enjoy doing is bringing a little fun and excitement to the world. So I kind of, I just realized, like in 1997, I even remember exactly when it happened. I realized that was just my mission. And that's my game. I feel like I'm in the right lane when I'm bringing fun and excitement to people. And the crazy thing is, I'm looking to bring that to the public. But also internally, if you were here at Coffin Comics, we endeavor to do that same thing with our staff. It's not always perfect, but we do that. And as co-owners of Tucson Comic Con, same thing. In our staff and how we interact with everybody, it's like we want to be able to do all these cool initiatives, but we do want to do it in the domain of kind of like fun, playful, game-like, and of course there's some serious moments, but generally that's our objective. And it's crazy because we're juxtaposing it by like we do like bloody crazy. Right, we do all these, so I can't figure that part out, but it's just what it is.
Entertainment.
It's just what it is, man.
Well, if you can't have fun making comics,
yeah, exactly.
That's
the thing too. I think we both love the medium still. I mean, you see Brian or I, if we have a few extra minutes at a convention where
where we're going.
Booths, we're trying to find comics,
Yep.
buy some books. I mean, that's one of my pleasures whenever I do a comic convention, is sneaking away and finding one more book for the collection and stuff, or two or three.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that nice Evil Ernie.
I did. I couldn't pass it up.
That was
good. I could not pass it up. I think that will press up to a 9.8.
Oh, that's what he's gonna do. There's not a lot of them, man. That book was like made on this like really, really weird little newsprint.
I just found out because somebody told me there's only 14 9.8s
of Evil.
Of Evil Ernie. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I think I have like a 9.4.
Got Brian beat.
You do solidly.
So going back to the area of marketing and promotion, what kind of market research have you been involved with when you're getting ready to promote a comic or promote an event?
Again, me personally, go out and well, you can't do it right now, but kiss the babies and shake the hands kind of thing. Like to me, it's been the Comic Cons. It's just interacting, seeing what works, what doesn't. Always putting new product out there and seeing what people react to. To me, that's like, the grassroots thing works for me personally. And again, once I go, okay, this works, cool. Now, how am I going to take this and run with it? And what can I do to up the level of this particular thing that I figured out works for me? And if it doesn't work for me, I'm not gonna push it. I'm not gonna keep throwing in people's faces and go like, you know what? I thought I had something. Clearly, the fans said no thanks. And I go, okay, it didn't work.
Yep.
Goes in the back pocket. Maybe I'll bring it back 10 years from now, and maybe it'll work then. I mean, I started out at Image Comics in '92 and stuff, and so there's books that we started back then that I have the copyright on. They're my own creations, and I always go, man, I would love to bring that back. Then I go, I'll kind of feel the pulse of the market. I go, not now, put that away for another year or whatever, and when I feel the market is right. That's the whole thing is going back to successful campaigns. It's like, don't just shove things out there. Like, do your research. See if what you're going to put out people actually want. Because I think a lot of people go, oh, my mom and my girlfriend says I can draw good, and my English teacher told me I can write good in high school, so here's my comic book. And it's like, it takes a little more than that.
Yeah, it really does take an accumulated knowledge, and you and I both, and sometimes younger people don't like to hear this, but we probably have tens of thousands of hours of accumulated knowledge, whether it's in the domain of our actual craft or in things like marketing. Because again, being a fellow publisher, there's a lot of skill sets that we're juggling, but we've amassed a lot. What I would acknowledge you for is the comment you just said is, if you see something's not working, you do a fast pivot.
Yep.
Sometimes people just, nag on it, and that's another thing. Even as we're here this particular weekend, in the aftermath of the events of the Emerald City Comic Con postponing, we pivoted very fast, got together with all our pals and said, let's do something like this, like an online experience. And it'll be interesting to see what grows out of it, but largely it's like, we ain't having it. We're going to keep things going.
Plus, it's okay to fail. I think that's what a lot of people, they fail once and they go, this isn't for me, I can't do this, or fans are stupid because they don't want my product. Because that's another, I talk to a lot of creators who think like fans are stupid because they don't like what they have. And I'm like, no, you're stupid because you're not giving the fans what they want.
Yes.
And so it's okay to fail. I think everybody's failed. I know I've done it numerous times. And like you said, I don't take it personal. I go, wrong product at the wrong time, wrong book, wrong concept, wrong whatever, wrong market, whatever it is, and just go, okay, on to the next,
I've had personally spectacular failures and flame outs. Yeah. I've been counted out 4 or 5 times. And it's strangely, look, in the moment, that stuff's hard. Yeah. But in retrospect, it does give you kind of a little strength because you're like, oh, okay, that's what it's like to flame out, fail magnificently in front of an entire industry.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I have and then actually what emerges sometimes out of failure, at least in my case, is that when you come back, people like a comeback story.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was available for me, that was possible, So I'm with you on failure. It's like, as long as you learn fast from it and you regulate the size of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I turn this to the audience. If anybody has questions, I'm gonna tune into a few of the comments here. But if anybody has questions, feel free online to post them. One more question that I have is, what is a good cost-effective way to promote your comics? What is a way that you don't need to have a lot of backing in order to promote?
God, we're living in the perfect age now, aren't we?
We really are.
With social media.
Yeah, I think having your own social media presence, figuring out what you actually provide for people, and communicating all the time about it. And it's sort of like, I've likened so much of what I've done as if I was in a band. So if I was in a band, me and a bunch of people would put our instruments in a van, go across the country, and we'd go stop somewhere and we play for 3 people. And then we go down the road, we play for 4 people. And then if we're doing our job right, at the end we're playing for 200 people. And I don't think we could count out the investment that you and I have made with our road work.
Oh yeah.
Because we have done road work like touring at like arena acts. Not necessarily for scale, but just like the sheer amount of hands that we've gone out and shook around the world has been a magnificent contributor, I believe, to our longevity, because we've connected with people.
And it's the interaction too.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about earlier. It's a genuine connection with your fans, and it's because they know we appreciate them.
Without a doubt.
I always, in the back of my mind, I always have one equation: no fans, no career. That's what I always remind myself. They're the most important thing, because they're the ones who are taking their hard-earned money and giving it to you in support of your product, your concept, your character. So to me, fans want an experience. It's not just going to a convention, saying hi, and getting a signature. They want to walk away going, you know what? Not only did I meet Brian Pulido, but he was as cool as I was hoping he'd be. Or not, because I've had it with guys like George Perez and
I know what you're saying.
Even John Byrne, who was super nice to me.
Nice to me too.
Yeah, but it is. I walked away and I go, I had this awesome experience with a guy who I, put on a pedestal for so long from a creative perspective, and my interaction with him was so cool. It's something that's memorable.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole other thing. And you can't do that from, just sitting at home or posting your Kickstarters. You have to get out there and, or even on social media, you have to do your lives and interact, and not just go on your social media and make a post and that's it.
Right.
You have to respond to people. You have to interact.
Yep.
And it's not even a job. It should be fun, because I have fun doing it. I know you have fun.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, social media has just been a hoot.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with what you're saying. I definitely want people's, when I interact, when I meet folks, I want it to be a good experience.
Yeah. I've
also had the other side where I've had like people I've admired, and I'm not going to name names, where I've just admired tremendously. Oh my gosh, look who's here.
Whoa!
Come on in and say hello, Lady Death.
Hello, everyone.
Sapphire Nova as Lady Death's coming in to say hello on our panel. So how's the day been going, Lady Death?
Oh, it's been amazing. I hope you guys have been enjoying it as much at home as we have here.
No doubt, Lady Death. Have you been like running the show out there?
A little bit here, a little bit there.
That's cool. Well, we're talking about marketing in comic books in this particular age. I was just finishing a point. We're both finishing a point where we want people to kind of leave, having met us, with a positive experience generally. And I was saying that, there's a rock star I admire, and I had a really tough experience with that person, and it took about 2 years I love the music, but I met the person, and then it took about 2 years to kind of get past it and be like, okay, I still love the music, I don't know about the person.
And it's hard to separate the person from what they do.
I think it is.
Yeah, so I think once they meet you and have a positive experience, they actually enjoy your work a little more too.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
A couple comments online. I had to comment on this one. Pube Stash says, please keep this video public. All this information is excellent. And I got one from Time of Dying 00.
Time of Dying.
Time of Dying. What are some of your favorite crowdfunded comics that you yourself have backed?
Are there all the Lady Deaths that I
Good answer.
I like all their counterpoint. I know that, Squirrel Warriors, I thought was pretty rad, pretty incredible artwork on that one.
Yeah.
Squirrel Warriors, Ashley Ritter art.
I gotta be honest, my buddy Jim Hanna just put out a book called Kill Count, which is like a crazy 80s action movie kind of parody, which I think is hilarious personally. So
Good.
That was a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I backed quite a few, my gosh.
Yeah,
one I got a crazy amount of value, I thought, was The Earthworm Jim by Doug Tenenbaum. The thing was that big for the money. It was 1 million pages. It had literally, it was a hardcover. It had every trick I've ever seen on a hardcover. It had the end leaves were nicely colored. The front had UV, it had spot, it had foil, it had that little red bookmark. It had every trick I've seen on a hardcover. No expense spared, and the work itself was really cool.
Well, I want that now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Greetings, Jimmy Coffin. How you doing? Why don't you just come right in front of me and say hello? This is Jimmy Coffin, marketing manager. Be talking to him. Right on.
So I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but Demon Phil commented on.
Demon Phil.
Commented it's how you shed the personas of being the man and just speak to us as if you're a super fan. And they noted that's one ingredient of your success. And then let's see some of these other comments. And they agree, the ego, it's really interesting. There's conversation going back and forth on this line. And again, you're welcome to ask questions for those fans online. And there's a lot of agreements that it should be kept public, so this is a wellspring of information.
Oh, great.
So what have you seen from other crowdfunding campaigns that you've seen that you thought, man, I wish I would have done that? Has there been a moment where you've seen somebody else do something and you wish that you would have come up with that, and then you quickly stole their idea?
Every campaign I've ever done.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to figure a particular example, but we both study a multitude of campaigns at all times, and I definitely might nip and tuck. Actually, I remember one. So Jamie Tyndall did his first White Widow campaign, and he numbered his reward graphics and he numbered his reward. Now, we had done 12 campaigns and not doing that, and I just thought makes perfect sense. Yeah. So I stole that one. Yeah.
From Ryan Kincaid, his Persuasion book, they had they got Art Germ to do illustration, and they put it in their mystery envelope.
Nice.
So I just ran over right to Art Germ and got him to do illustration for me. But then I one-upped them, because then I asked Art Germ if I can use it for October, and he said I could. So
how great is that?
Yeah, right. So
that is really.
But I think it does come down to, we all that's part of when you're planning your campaign. I had a certain superstar artist call me the other day. He wants to do his first Kickstarter, and he just wanted to get some, some ideas and stuff. And I said, dude, go and look at all the successful campaigns, and then pick and choose what works for you. And that's part of it, because nobody has original ideas. It's like everybody's got an idea from somebody else's idea, and then it grew to something a little bit different. So
You know, it's crazy for no matter, and again, we're 19 campaigns in, but I go back to our first campaign, and we had done so much study, myself and Nick G, who works with us. I mean, maybe 60 hours of study, and we do our campaign, and we think we built our tiers right, this, that, and the other. We launch our campaign, and it was only in that moment of launching a campaign that we learned with Kickstarter, you could only back one tier at a time. And we were like, wait, what? And so we quickly learned about concepts, add-ons, over pledges, and now we're like crazy with that. But there's nothing really like getting in there and just starting to work at it. Everything else is kind of conceptual and intellectual because, you know, we got in there, we're scrambling and we're learning. And, you know, to this day, to this second, we're always learning. Maybe that's another pro tip is being willing to learn. You know, I look at a lot of folks and I'm always surprised when people are so committed to knowing things. Like I myself am really into not quite being sure. You know, I'm very observational and I'm taking a look at things and I'm willing to try things on. I'm not willing to be like, this is the way, because I think things are dynamic and they could change. So I encourage people as a learning tool, I really try not to know. I try to kind of be open to what could be occurring. Because it's not always what you think it is.
And it really isn't a wrong or a right way.
Yeah.
So it's whatever works for you.
Yes.
So Demon Phil again asking,
Demon Phil!
How essential is teasing the covers or the panels within the comics ahead of time before your Kickstarter? How essential is teasing those products?
I'd say pretty essential.
Yeah,
You
I
want to
think
build
so.
buzz. You want people to be excited when your Kickstarter kicks off. You want them to have like a cover that they've seen that they go, I have to log in to get that.
I think so. Yeah, I can't agree more. Like ever since our first campaign, we've always made facsimiles of our products. So, because I think people are tactile and they'd like to see the closest proximity to what they're getting. You know, as opposed to, can you imagine you go to a supermarket and you're like, there's just a cutout and this is like a gallon of milk. Like you really want to see what it is you're getting to the degree that you can. That's why we show covers, we show interiors, and I believe that also gives people confidence and assurance that there's something tangible at the end of the rainbow for them.
So,
I always think that's a failure. I actually, to this day, I'll see these campaigns where it's like almost no art, almost no explanation, no updates, and it's like, you think this is going to work with people?
And I also think people tend to ask for ridiculous amounts. Like, you know, we keep our amounts temporary.
Yeah.
For what we know our fan base is,
Yes.
the amount we ask for is minuscule in comparison, I believe, personally.
Yep.
And I see just campaigns of like people have, you know, completely unknown product with one cover, no bells and whistles, and they're like, I need $10,000, and it's like, well, good luck with that. Like, you know, when you come up $9,500 short, you know, it's gonna suck for you. So
yeah, I mean,
that's another thing. Like, you know, be humble.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it a mountain to climb. I know that we began 5 years ago asking for $15,000 on a lady death, and we just keep it that way for kind of like a ceremony, 19 campaigns in. But I've seen fellow creators, known veterans, and they're asking for 60, 70 out of the gate. And I got to tell you, psychologically, that is a tremendous mountain to climb for people. Yeah.
So I'll throw out one last question for us.
Okay.
And that will be, like, what advantage do you think that you guys have as independent comic creators over the big guys, Marvel and DC, when considering promotion? Obviously, you don't have their promotional dollars or backing. What advantage do the little guys have?
Well, I got to tell you, that is another one of the questions I ask myself almost every day. Because as you've recognized, let's say just in the domain of the agreed upon comic shop market, we are minuscule, and those giant companies have a lot more buzz. They have agreement. They know critics. They're friendly with the press. I mean, candidly, the type of comic books I do, they're fairly outside the comic industry. We label ourselves as outlaws, if only because we'll send press releases out, no one picks them up. So I think you kind of just gotta count on I sort of lost my train of thought, except to say that I wake up knowing I don't have the advantages those companies do, given that being my baseline, how do I operate? How do I make an impact given that fact?
Yeah, but I think the one advantage we do have is we have a genuine connection to the fan. Like it's a straight line.
Yep.
Where if you're buying a Marvel or DC book, you're not buying it from, the creator. You're buying it from the company, how many editorial and business, offices between you and the final product. With us, you're buying it directly from us, and I think our fans know if they message you and go, hey, you should do this, that we actually are going to take that into account.
That's
maybe
true.
even apply it. So I think that is the one small advantage that we have, but outside of that.
Well, yeah, in terms of pure marketing dollars, and I agree with you. So from our perspective at Coffin, it's like there is no separation. There's just you and us. And I know that the Fiends, the Sworn, the culture is mighty. So I actually don't take that for granted. So I never know what's going to show up next. But I mean, I thank everybody for that.
And I think that's our time here for marketing and promoting comics. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in to.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Is there anything you want to promote coming up at the Coffin Con?
Yeah, so we're still here at Coffin Comics Con, online and coming up at 4 o'clock. I don't know what time it is. 3 o'clock. Another panel. Do you know what?
I don't know, but can we do the live raffle? They forgot to do it live in there. Can we bring it in
Yeah.
there?
I'll tell you what. We're gonna do a live raffle, so stay right there. I will actually excuse our folks for if you'd like a break. We're gonna let our folks sneak out. So we're gonna have a break. Only one job, people, and then let Lady, if you want to be here for this too. So explain what we're doing. Every couple hours we're doing a live raffle because what we're doing is at Coffin Comics Con online. Everyone who places an order at Lady Death's store, we are actually putting their name and their order in this vault, and then we're actually going to we're going to give them some cool stuff. Do you guys have samples of what those items are?
Maybe.
Only one job? The 11th time we've done it this weekend.
So Shane was saying this is very insightful. Like, thank you. Everyone's thanking you. Comics and More is thanking you for this great panel that you're doing. Shane saying this is very cool. Thank you, Phil. Of course, he's loving it. So
Thank you.
People really found this very insightful. So thank you so much for doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks. For us all, it was just a crazy experiment. We're having more fun than should be allowed doing it. I know that the Coffin crew behind the scenes, man. As soon as we knew that Emerald City was postponed, within 3 hours we knew we were going to do this. We started plotting and planning, throwing things together. Got to give a big up and acknowledgement to our partners, Economics and Comics, and really to the Coffin crew who's just behind the scenes, been doing an inordinate amount of work, really helping us out. Thank you so much, Brandy Reese.
Thank you, Brian.
So step on in here a little bit, Brandy, and I would like to ask you to please put the newest orders in here.
So here's these, and then here's the few stragglers.
Couple stragglers, and
there we go.
And Lady Death, would you mind just mixing them up a little bit? And this is going to be for all the store orders that have come in since the beginning of con, which was Thursday at 10 a.m. So it's been a bazillion. Okay, maybe a little less than a bazillion, but close.
Y'all are crazy.
So I'm going to let Lady Death pick, and then I'm going to have Brandy. Oh, let's see what are you guys going to get? You're probably saying to yourself, what are you going to get in the raffle?
I'm ready now.
Got it. So first you're going to receive an art germ print of Lady Death. You're going to get a Lady Death Rules Volume 2 trade, 192 pages covering chapters 4 through 7 of Lady Death, Ryan Brown cover. Ooh, uh-oh. So this is Lady Death Scorched Earth Boudoir with the very popular Anthony Spay cover.
Yeah,
this image, yes, this is a knockout for people, and I'm happy to announce that Anthony Spay has begun work on 4 new covers for Coffin Comics. Yay.
Excellent.
And you're going to get a goodie bag. So the goodie bag would have a beer koozie, balloon, bookmark, pencil, guitar pick, stickers, and a mini print, because that's how we roll at Coffin Comics. So we're going to do this first for our orders, and then we're going to do it for our club. Our club is private and currently closed, but that's what we're going to do next. So Lady Death, pick one out. Lady Death's putting her hand deep into the cauldron, the vault, and the name that's picked is
Griffin Lochner.
Griffin Lochner! Griffin Lochner! You now join the Sworn. Now we're going to move on. We're breaking out the Coffin Cauldron, Lady Death, where we have the names of all of our club members. We're going to mix this up, Lady Death. And now we're going to show you what you're going to win in this raffle. And remember, if you're in the raffle, you're eligible to be part of the grand prize raffle happening tonight at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And you could win a Lady Death La Muerte statue, the Azor variant, 150 made. What you're going to win in this particular raffle is a Hell Witch print by Jamie Tyndall. It is sick. You get a Hell Witch Hellborn.
His sick is so funny to me.
I know, every time I say it, Billy laughs. It's like
the best part.
it's the easiest laugh I get. Hell Witch Hellborn premium foil by Ed Bennis, and the wonderful La Muerto #1 Vengeance Sun K cover. I see Joel over there with that look. It's really cool, the clown face, right? And then again, another super group of goodies, including some trading cards. I could see stickers and a balloon. So without further ado, Lady Death for the club. And I'll never be able to see that firstly, so it's going to be
Tracy Jones.
Oh,
Tracy Jones from the club.
All right.
Well, you guys have been great, and what's our next program?
Next panel is at 4 o'clock, The Art of the Cover with Monty Moore and Mike DeBalfo, moderated by Mike McLean.
Whoa! Okay, so hang around, folks. We're going to be back with The Art of the Cover, moderated by Mike McLean with Monty Moore and Marat Mychaels. Thank you so much, everybody.